Now, face the mighty bison.
Two movies that I seen and I thought was really good was Nosferatu and Sinners. Now, going into both of these movies, I knew absolutely nothing. The only thing that I knew is one, everyone was saying that they both were really good, but then two, they had vampires. It's crazy how, in my opinion, two of the best movies like in recent memory are vampire themed. For Nosferatu, when I was watching this movie, it was a great like movie experience. When you go to the movies, a lot of the times it feels like this is something you could watch at home on streaming. But Nosferatu really delivers the cinematic experience from the great acting, from the great sound design, but also the cinema photography. This is something that I like really just be nitpicking because me as a content creator, I always think about how the viewers will be seeing what I'm making, right? When I'm putting tweets on the screen, when I'm putting, memes on the screen, I try to think about the timing of everything. And in doing that for multiple different years with movies and TV shows, this is something that I also just focus on and sometimes just can spot like, oh, why was that cut like that? Oh, why was that put there? But with Nosferatu, everything was perfect. The way that the lighting was, the way that the visuals were being displayed, even though it's a dark movie, even though it doesn't have all the lights and the glimmer, they play around with all of the subtle differences in the lighting and they make every scene pop and they make every establishing shot great. I really loved Willem Dafoe's performance in it as well. I didn't know he was going to be in it, but when I seen him, I was like, "Oh, Willem Dafoe, great actor, great work." But really, everyone did great work. The guy who played Dracula, that was insane. The Dracula creature as well was kind of crazy too because he was like really tall. He wore the cape. The way that he spoke was really cool. And then I like too when the guy went to his castle. I think like he cut himself by accident or whatever, and then Dracula's eyes like lit up. And he was like, "Oh, you should be careful, right?" Like the blood he was smelling it. Just that whole portrayal of Dracula was really cool. He was like this really ancient, powerful, mysterious creature, and him being unleashed upon the world and trying to find his way back to his lover was something that was just really cool. I think they did a really good job with that story. Also, Dracula's love interest. I'm not too familiar with that actress. I believe she is someone's daughter. I can't remember whose daughter she was, but she also did a great job. When I left the theaters watching Nosferatu, I was saying that this should probably be movie of the year. This probably should win a lot of awards. And then boom, here comes Sinners. Now, once again, knew very little about it. I did watch a review going into it, and the review didn't spoil anything. It didn't say much. The only things I knew is that there was two Michael B. Jordans, and there was also a scene in it that was fantastic. But everything else was a complete mystery. So when I sit down and I watch it, first off, the two openings that they had, like they had the one where they tell the story about how music can awake the dead and whatnot. That was a cool narrative, and I love how it paid off way later in the future. But then also the cold opening with the guy walking with the broken guitar into the church. That was awesome as well. It really like set the tone with the way that the father was shouting, and then you had the cutbacks to the vampire, like very well done. And then when the movie actually starts, it goes back to later in the day when you have the two Michael B. Jordans. That also pulls you in as well. And as even though I knew there was two Michael B. Jordans, I was looking at both of them and I was like, why do both? Okay, that's Michael B. Jordan, but this guy looks familiar. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's Michael B. Jordan too. I think I just had a little like Yoshi moment. But what I really loved about Sinners is how they showed you who each character is and what they're fighting for. They give you enough of their story to make you care for them and to also see why they care for the other people around them. And they do a great job with like the whole first half of the movie of establishing relationships, how everyone is connected, how this world is breathing alive, and how people know each other. You have these two brothers coming back to their home, and you see how they have changed. You see like how people are reacting reacting to them returning. Some people were scared, some people's like excited. It really makes you feel like the world is being lived in, and the way that this whole thing was being done was really amazing. And then also too, something you have to speak about for Sinners, and this is why I think Sinners is better than Nosferatu. Sinners does everything that Nosferatu does in terms of cinematography, in terms of all of it. But I think Sinners just knocked it out of the park a little bit more when it comes to music. Their music and how they were able to incorporate sounds hit so much harder than Nosferatu, and it was amazing. Like the instruments, and this also ties into what I believe people were referring to when they said the scene. There was a scene, this is a little bit later into the movie. It's a one shot take, and it has multiple different instruments from different eras. You have going all the way back to like tribe days, you have current era, you have futuristic, like, guitars, right? Electric guitars. And the way that they intertwined all of that was really unique, interesting, amazing, but also it was done very natural, organic, subtle. It starts off with him just putting on a performance, introducing himself to all of the people inside of basically the bar, right? They're all dancing, having a good time. And then out of nowhere you see all of these different eras show up, and they start to incorporate themselves not only in the music but also in the visuals, and the way that both of those things intertwined, it really is what makes it like a cinematic masterpiece. There were so many things happening there, and the fact that they were able to put it all together and make it what it is, I think that's why so many people loved it. The other thing that I want to talk about for Sinners is, of course, the villains, the vampires. And this is something about Sinners too. They all did such a great job, like playing their roles. You're immersed in the world. When they show up at the door and they're trying to get in and they're singing this song and everyone's like watching, it really pulls you in. There was not a moment in the movie where it's like, all right, wrap it up. And that's because of how powerful each performance was. The main vampire, the main bad guy, he did a magnificent job, and I hope that all the other great performances doesn't undermine his, because he brings the level of intensity, right? Because it's a thriller, it's a horror, it's supposed to be scary. His presence is felt throughout the whole thing. Once we see him attack the family and then he recruits them and then those three show up to the bar, we know what time it is, right? And to see him hovering around, but also he's playing a nice guy. When they didn't want to let him in, he was like, okay, we're gonna walk away slowly, and then like he kept looking back. Like all of that was done so perfectly. They really went above and beyond when delivering in this movie, and it really speaks to how cheap and lazy and bad some other movies are. The fact that you could have everyone in this movie deliver this way and be like phenomenal is crazy. And then also you got to talk about the main character, the guy with the guitar, right? This is his first movie ever. His first movie ever, and he killed it. I was thinking, and I wonder, was it actually him singing, playing the guitar, or was that just like some, movie magic? Because if he can sing and play the guitar and act all on that level, wow. Nosferatu, 9 out of 10. I'll see whether or not that score changes when I rewatch it. But then I give Sinners, bro, I think a 10 out of 10. The only reason I want to give Nosferatu a 9 out of 10 is because I think Sinners is better, and it's because of how they use music and sound design, and I think it was just a little bit better. So I don't know. I'm gonna go back and watch Nosferatu and see if the sound is better than what I remember. But man,